Hey everybody, this is Drink64 and welcome to my review for Collateral Damage. There's only a few more episodes before the end of the Star Bomb and Season 2 in general, so, we're getting close to the end, and overall this episode was okay. Again, I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was anything great. I thought it was just your average casual episode, not much happened. Although we did destroy the possum that kind of makes Echo Creek, so yeah, I don't know what that's going to do in the future. Maybe nothing, maybe they'll just bring the possum back somehow, I don't know, maybe. I think this will be a thing that sticks throughout the show. It feels like one of those shows that, won't make any, continuity errors, so there is that. But overall, this was a pretty good episode. There were some things in it that I did find pretty interesting. And I'll get to those when I actually get to those, and especially some of the backstory was pretty damn weird, just because the whole idea of it is just absurd, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get straight into the episode, and I'll explain it all as we go along, as per usual. So this episode starts out with Jana picking up litter, and not so much litter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not litter, Jana, I mean. Picking up random people's food isn't exactly littering, but it's Jana, she's pretty weird, and so is Star apparently. Star's also doing this, mostly just to get away from all the stuff that's happening with Glossaric. She doesn't want anything else to go wrong, so she thinks by doing something like this, nothing else can go wrong, being in detention. So yeah, we are continuing this sort of storyline with Star being still worried about Glossaric and worried that she'll screw things up again, and I like that. This episode isn't completely useless, it does continue that sort of flow with Star, so that's really cool. And basically, while throwing away all the trash, Star accidentally throws away the possum, basically the mascot of the school, and to be honest, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, if I remember back in Season 1, there was the football episode, and the possum was a pretty big part of that episode. I think one of the characters dressed up as it. I don't remember exactly which character. I know the character, I just don't remember the name, so yeah. But basically, she throws it away, and obviously she can probably bring it back, right? Well, no, it actually gets destroyed, and everyone goes into complete mayhem. Everyone just loses it, goes crazy, doesn't know what to do now that the possum's been destroyed. It's like that thing was pretty much their life force, and now it's been taken away, and everyone's just upset. Even the headmaster won't do anything just because it's such a big loss. And while Star does try to help out, there isn't really anything she could do, so eventually she tries to build a new possum, which honestly should work, but this is Echo Creek we're talking about. They're kind of idiots. So they realize that it's a fake, that it's not the real possum, not the original anyway. I forget the name of the possum as well, so I apologize for that. I'm just going to call it the possum, for now anyway. Someone will probably remind me in the comments, as per usual, but basically she makes a new one, everyone realizes it's fake, and just leaves it. Nobody cares, nobody wants this one, they just want the original back, and that's never going to happen. So Star goes back into the school searching for Marco, because obviously Marco can help out, and here's the interesting part about the episode. Marco is inside of the locker, and while this doesn't seem that interesting at first, if you recall back to the episode Red Belt, in Marco's dream in that episode, Marco is actually in a locker wearing a suit. Now, whether this is supposed to hark back to that episode or what, I have no idea, but it definitely seems to resemble that, especially when he slides back in later in the episode. But anyway, Marco comes out saying that he's trying to hide from everyone. It seems like Marco is probably one of the only sane people in Echo Creek as it seems, so yeah. So basically he comes out and he explains the whole lore of why the possum is so important, and oh boy, it's weird. Apparently the first settlers into Echo Creek had a bloody war, not so much bloody, but just a war with possums, with all the possums that were invading the area. This is the most absurd, war I've ever heard of, just humans versus possums. It's great. And the accent that Marco's doing it in is also very great. Just the southern accent is really cool. I like it, and especially Star does it at the end as well, which is pretty neat. So yeah. So basically Marco explains all this, and then Star just realizes exactly what to do. So she goes into the headmaster's office, says, I need to make speech, and he does not care at all. He's just broken up about the possum, so yeah. So basically Star gives this whole speech to the school about how they don't need a possum to be themselves. She even mentions a couple of the particular characters in the school, such as Ferguson and the other guy. Yes, I don't remember everyone's names exactly, I apologize for that as per usual. But she explains that they don't need the possum to be themselves. And actually, when she was talking to Ferguson and the other guy, I like how she just explicitly mentions them as background characters. That was great. Just that little bit of meta trivia right there. That's pretty cool. But she explains all this sort of stuff, and then everyone starts to realize we don't need the possum, and then they just go and attack the possum, destroying it. And then Marco or Star gives this whole explanation as to what happened. They destroyed the possum. They don't need the possum anymore. All that stuff's being dealt with. Amazing. And the episode ends with Star still picking up trash just to still get over the fact that Glosseric's gone, I guess. I don't know, she's still dealing with all this, and we'll see how that comes to fruition in the season finale. But anyway, that was Collateral Damage, and honestly, when I first heard of this episode title, I thought it was going to be more than it actually was. Kind of a shame it wasn't, but hey, who the hell cares? I didn't hate the episode, I didn't think it was that bad at all, to be honest. I thought it was a little absurd at moments, but that is the point of the show. It is a little weird and wild, so yeah. And it was good to see Jenna again, so there was that. But again, there was the thing, Marco going into the locker, that seemed to hark back to Marco's dream in Red Belt, as well as we saw Mr. Candle again, which was pretty weird. Again, we know he's not of this dimension, so where's he from? I do want to see where Mr. Candle is from, what dimension he's from, because, again, the way he left in the episode Mr. Candle Cares was so weird. It kind of reminded me of some kind of Uncle Grandpa shit, I don't know. It was really weird, though. So yeah, I don't know. Just overall, this episode was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good for what it was. Again, not a very particularly amazing episode, but I don't know. What did you guys think? Because really, there isn't much to say on this episode. The episode was good. That's about it. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.